I am sure that you all have seen dozens and dozens of templates on CVs and cover letters on the internet. So, which is the correct one? From my experience of being in 4 different countries, I have seen that the format varies from country to country. There are some firms and universities that are following strict, or you can say a traditional format, whereas now many of the firms are accepting any type of format as long as there is correct grammar and enough information provided by you. One rule to remember is that your resume speaks for you, so make sure that it is well put. Hi friends, I'm Hadika Maksud, and in this video I'm covering the CV format for Germany. A disclaimer, this is not an official format, it's not a mandatory format, but this is the one that is most preferred. And over the year of living in Germany, I have talked to consultants and other people, and I've seen that this format works the best or is accepted widely. So let's get started and see what it actually is and how different it is from a USA format, for example. An average German CV will be up to 2 pages. So you can cover all the sections in 2 different pages. The main sections would include your personal data, your work experience, your education, your skills, awards and certificates. You can write about languages that you know, and then you can write about hobbies. It could be a very precise section, or you can skip it overall, depending again on the job that you apply to. And in the end, the most interesting part is signature. So let's go one by one and talk about each section. First thing on your resume is your name, first name and last name, and then you can also write your current designation or your existing job title. Now, some people have more than one first name, some people have more than one surname, so it gets confusing to have 5 different names lined up like this. So usually what's preferred is to avoid that much of a confusion. You can choose one each, one first name and one surname, because I have seen how this can be confusing. For example, once you get hired and you have to have an email address from the company, then the confusion comes in. So if you can come to agreement with one first name and one surname, that would be great, because it just makes it easier for the HR to go through your application. After your name comes a photo. A professional photograph is something that is expected in a German CV, which is very much different from what you would find in the US, because you're not expected to have your photo in a US format. But for German CV, it's not, again, not mandatory, but it is very much expected that you will be having your photograph on your resume. Next to your photograph would be a small profile. A profile is a couple of sentences, 3 to 4 sentences that will make up a short paragraph talking about you and your skills and just highlighting your whole profile. Again, it is very much likely that if you have this section, it would be very much helpful for the HR to read it and then have a grasp of your profile right away, because they don't spend a lot of time reading the resume. So that profile section should have some keywords, some buzzwords that highlights your specialty, and it should relate to the job description that you have. And once you have that together, this will become the highlight of your resume. Next in the CV comes personal data. It's again different from what an American CV would look like, but in a German format, what is expected is to have your date of birth, your nationality. If you have a driver's license, you should mention that too, because in some companies you might have to drive from one part to the other and you will be using a company's car, so they need to know if you have the license or not. Of course, the main information, that is your phone number, your email address and your home address. For the email address, I must say that if you can make your email address very straightforward, first name dot last name or first name at Gmail, just make it sound more professional instead of 123 Hadika something. Then comes your work experience. If you have had a couple of years of work, first write the work experience section and then comes the education. In the work experience, you start from the latest job first, and you start with the date, month and a year, and then the place that you have worked in, the company's name, your designation there, and then comes a few lines where you will be writing what you have done. In a few bullet points, you need to highlight what you have done under that title. Here comes one additional information. Many of the companies now are using a software, ATS, which is a computer-based tool, which is like an early screening check. It will scan your CV and then figure out if you are eligible or how fit you are for that position. To make your CV stand out, what you have to do is read the job description, pick the keywords from that job description and use those as your action verbs in the bullet points of your previous work experience. Then comes the education section. In this section, you will start from the latest education that you have, the degree, and then go down to college level, or at least the bachelor level. Based on the job that you're applying for, sometimes you can write the focus areas that you have studied or the project that you have done. All right, next is skills. This is the section where you mention about your technical skills as well as your soft skills. Here you can use some visual elements, which is again making it easier for the HR manager to scan your profile. So I'm sharing this template with you. You can see here that using these visuals, you can show the proficiency of each skill that you have. And feel free to mention as many skills. For example, if you know 2 to 3 software, mention that. And if you know some soft skills which are specific to the job profile and are used there in the description, try to link it and then mention it in the skill section. Another section is languages. Now, if you have worked and studied in English and applying for an English language job, this section might not be too relevant for you, but in Germany, since German is something that you would eventually want to learn, it's better to mention the languages and then the extent of knowing that language. It could be English and German, it could be additional European languages, depending again on the job that you're targeting. All right, awards and certificates. Now, this is the section which will be very different from the other applicants. You need to highlight any additional certifications that you have done, whether it's online courses or any awards that you have received throughout your career or your studies. Those needs to be mentioned here, which will make your application stand out. Mention the year and mention who is the provider and what is the title of that award or that certificate. Then comes the section of hobbies. It's quite a debatable section. Some people prefer to write it, some find it very irrelevant, but if you are an early applicant, it's better to just mention it more and then have something very specific. So do not write, my hobbies include reading books and traveling, which is very generic. So if you're adding this section, it needs to have something that will be linked to your name, that this person is into mountain climbing or rock climbing. So make it specific, make the hobby very, very specific where you can be linked to that one once there is a call for interview. And sometimes what you have written in your CV as a hobby, that could be an icebreaker once you have an interview. All right, the last one and the very interesting part, which was also new for me when I learned this, is to have your signature in your resume. Germans love signing their CVs. So giving you the overall gist, you need to have the main sections for sure, have the keywords mentioned in your resume in the description part of your CV, have your photo, contact details, your personal data, and your signature in that resume. And then you're all set to apply in a company in Germany. Good luck!